Welcome back to the Leadership Growth Blueprint podcast. Today's guest is Nick Blasi, co-founder of Personos, where AI meets personality science to solve real-world problems. Nick and his team are building technology that helps individuals and teams understand how they're wired so they can communicate better, collaborate smarter, and perform at a higher level. They're based in Denver and rooted in behavioral science. Personas is redefining how we use AI to unlock human potential. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jordan. Looking forward to it.
Of course, it's our pleasure. Now, Nick, how would you describe the work you do in leadership and executive development for someone hearing about it for the first time?
That's a great question. So what we're essentially doing is we're democratizing this concept of personality psychology and the science behind it. So that's typically been reserved for the executive suite or, a sales team here and there. And you've seen it in a lot of cases with Myers-Briggs, Clifton Strength, everything DISC. All those assessments have been, quite frankly, phenomenal. They've been really valuable in the room, in the boardroom, but it's been saved for the folks who can A, afford it, and B, typically more of a leadership type position, which is great. But more functionally, you kind of want your entire team, your entire company to succeed using that same level of science. And it's been hard to do. It's been hard to scale. And you see the simplicity of the assessments that have been out there over the years is you're a color, you're a shape, you're a word. What you're essentially doing there is solving the implementation problem of everything you just learned here is really hard to remember ongoing, let alone apply to your daily work life. So there's been challenges. I mean, those assessments been out there for quite literally 80, 90 years. And like I said, they've been doing great work. But this breakthrough in AI has not only allowed us to scale this to all employees and all teams and everyone who could benefit from this science, but also making it more tangible, more daily operational, and, helping people sort through those people relationship type questions and needs that they have.
Thanks for those insights. So, how would the technology work? Can you give us like an example of
Mhm.
how that would be applicable? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and with it not being visible, the best way to take you through is you start with a personality assessment. We use the Big Five. It's called the five-factor model, and that's the one that's truly rooted in science and research. And it's open sourced with actual professional psychologists. So, if you're reading a research paper, they use the Big Five. The assessment's pretty simple. You take it, you onboard, here's my job, here's my title, here's what I do on a daily basis. And then you mix in that personality science and the outputs that come from it. And then that gets fed into your experience essentially. So instead of just having a chat GPT or a Claude where it's your personal assistant to help you write emails or whatever you might be working on, now when you land into Personas, you have your entire team on the left-hand column with their personality breakdown. So you can see their reports, learn more about them. And then more functionally, you bring it into the chat of here's the situation I'm dealing with right now with this person presenting to this team. How do I best approach it? Anything you have going on, that chat feature allows you to embody it and get advice in real time. But it is pretty simple to onboard, and the personality science is our transmission. There's no question that's the most important piece of this tool. But at the end of the day, people don't care enough about that constantly. They just care about solving the problem. The now what? What should I do here? Then they're able to read and go back to the psychology and learn more about themselves and approach their problem in the best case.
Absolutely. And where do you see the biggest benefit with teams by utilizing this?
I do think it's the fact that, like, kind of alluded to at the beginning, is that everybody gets access to it. It's not just psychology too, it's positive psychology. So it's measured on a continuum, which leaves millions and millions of different possibilities of personality types. But when you're high or low on the scale, neither one of them is a bad thing. It just leverages where you're at personally and then turns a positive spin on it. So extroversion is usually the easiest personality type to kind of explain in a setting. And people will see low extroversion. Oh my gosh, I can't be a salesperson. I can't be a leader. I can't even talk to people. What should I do? The tool will instead teach you, by the way, you're a fantastic listener or you're really outgoing in this setting. Here's where you can leverage that and actually use it to your advantage to be better at what you do. That's what's really helpful to an organization is everyone has their best self coming out instead of trying to become just one person or a learning and development team. Here's who you need to be at this company. Instead, take your unique self and be more of it and amplify it and bring the best out of the whole team.
No, I freaking love that. And for those just listening, I'm like smiling ear to ear because it's how you frame things. It's not that being an introvert is weak or inferior to an extrovert. It's you have different strengths that this extrovert does not have. Those are their weaknesses, one might say. So it's
Exactly.
all about how you frame things. And I feel like if you do know your strengths and you play into your strengths, obviously productivity will become better. You can excel within your position, et cetera,
Mhm.
et cetera. And if an entire organization knows more about themselves, then the entire company can play all into their strengths and then grow exponentially. Just my thoughts on that matter.
That's really well said, and it's important too. I mean, you look, and I come from big corporate spaces and those types of companies. But if you look at how your company actually operates on a daily basis, there's call centers, there's entry level positions, all that kind of stuff, and the phone calls and the decisions they're making on a daily basis ripple throughout the entire company. But they're not getting the attention they deserve outside of an onboarding and a training situation. If you can help those people be the best at what they do, it's going to go all the way up to the top, and you'll see the benefits.
That's so interesting. Just from previous guests, they say the inverse of that. They want to start at
I'm
the
sure.
top down, but you know,
Yeah.
you start at the bottom and work your way up. Very interesting. Out of
Yeah.
curiosity, why is that? Elaborate on that. I like the philosophy though.
Yeah, it's the uniqueness of people. It's kind of the foundation of what we do here. And I've always believed, and I used to work for someone who's just well known as the best hirer in the industry. And she'd always have the best, most impactful hires that you'd see in the company. And that's the kind of thing we don't want to touch. We look at that as you hired the right person. You had a gut instinct in the room, whatever it was that made you hire this person. Great work. Now bring them on board and bring out the talent that's within them. Because that person who you hired at 23 years old in the call center might be the senior vice president of account executives in 10 years. So if you can develop that person at that point and have that excellence that they bring ripple throughout all these different teams, all these meetings, all these phone calls, then you're really just increasing the organizational health at all levels.
Great perspective. And that's the first time I actually thought about that, hiring somebody at entry level position that could possibly one day be the VP of a specific department. Such great awareness around that. So thank you. I just learned something. But kind of take us back though, Nick. Like, what led you into performance psychology? Why the software? Why? I mean, obviously AI is fantastic, but I guess what sparked the you founding the company
Yeah, so we
or
kind of
co-founding?
two different stories that met in the middle. So my co-founder, Christian Thomas, he's just this brilliant AI architect. He went from startup to startup to startup, learning all the nitty gritty of what it takes to be a young software company. Where, like I mentioned, I came from the big corporate side of things. And we knew we were going to start something. There's a 99.9% chance it was going to be an AI company. But as we're thinking about what our next step was going to be, we're like, what can really change and make an impact that we're seeing right now that's literally a packet of paper or something that's being implemented incorrectly? And after, probably 8 months of thinking on it, I brought my team out to Boston and we did one of those big disc assessments. So I was literally in the room with my team, like 4 hours long. The consultants talking about all these different intricacies of who we are, who we could be, how we work as a team. And I was just loving it. I'm like, that was one of the best sessions I've had in this business. Came back from Boston, we get back to Denver, and I watched one of my teammates, one of the people who I was, kind of hoping was listening to that type of stuff, take his packet, throw the paper in the drawer. Nothing's implemented ever again. So I'm like, there's something missing there. Really onto something, but it didn't stick for more than probably 4 hours total, and it was just off into thin air. So I called Christian about it. He goes, you know what's interesting? When I played lacrosse at DU, he was on that 2015 national championship team. He goes, every Monday practice, we had these types of conversations. So instead of conditioning or instead of doing line drills, whatever they're working on typically, they'd bring in a personality psychologist, I think from Harvard, who would talk about you're down by 4 goals. How do you focus on one goal at a time? Offense and defense not turning on each other, that type of thing. He goes, it's the exact same thing, but you couldn't scale it. That was reserved for D1 lacrosse team. Or for us, it was reserved to sales teams or executives. Now you can take AI, you can actually translate that to a daily practice. And all of a sudden, it's still the same psychology. It's just in everyone's hands.
That's amazing, man. No, I love the founder story. I love the mission behind it because I feel like kind of what you said at the very beginning that these sort of personality tests or these sort of assessments were only accessible at the top and because they had the capital to do it. And it kind of puts the rest of the folks at a disadvantage where if we truly do care about helping the world and, unlocking everyone's fullest potential, we should help everyone, not just the folks at the
Exactly.
top. So I really appreciate what you're doing, man.
I appreciate that.
That's absolutely. Do you have any specific like case studies or client results from companies adopting your technology, your software, and implementing it with an organization?
Yeah, and it's usually best told through anecdotes. And there's where you one of those unique softwares where there's the vitamin approach of, you should be doing this, you should be getting better. That's a lot of leadership development is I could take these steps to become a better public speaker. Then there's the painkiller, which is what we're able to enable too, is oh my gosh, I can't believe this just happened. My hair is on fire. How do I fix this situation? Now that ended up being one of the first use cases. We had a marketing professional in the pharmaceutical industry send $20,000 to the wrong vendor, similar name, but wrong vendor, and they cashed a check. So you take a step back and he just goes, I don't know what I'm going to do. By the way, this is the second time I've done this. What do I do next? and you type it into the tool and you type in the boss's name, you type in your client's name, and it's, by the way, first thing you should do is loop in the manager. He's the type of guy who wants to know about this immediately so he can try to help you. Take it step by step. Don't leave him in the dark, and then talk to the client honestly. All these kinds of different outputs that are really valuable and very variable depending on who you're talking to. Some people blow up at work when they see those types of things, or some people can take it pretty calmly. So that's the painkiller of like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Did that person really just say that to me? How do I go about this next step? But then there's, as you typically earn the trust through that, the learning curve typically starts from that thing. Again, hair's on fire. Here's what I need help with. Here's why I got a Personas account in the first place. And then it's all of a sudden, okay, I have a presentation with this boss, with this group talking about this. And that's where we see a lot of, how do I begin becoming a better public speaker? And for those folks on lower extroversion score, it'll be like, start by raising your hand, ask a question in a meeting. That gives you the spotlight without all the pressure, gets you
Mm.
comfortable speaking in front of groups of people, those types of things. So there's so many different use cases. And really at the end of the day, this is just human people relationship AI. There's a lot of that, a lot of people problems out there.
No, absolutely. Amen to that, my friend. In regards to like, do you see people at the bottom who are just starting within their corporate life? Do you see that audience adopting this more frequently opposed to entire organizations initially?
The adoption's interesting. So it's team based. So it works individually. Obviously, you have your own personality psychology in there. That's kind of the 180 when you want a full 360. So in those cases, yeah, if it's a big corporation, we'll see an entire team adopt it or an entire department adopt it so that they can use it amongst each other. And then, smaller companies, or we work with a lot of nonprofits right now, they'll adopt it for their entire organization because just random things pop up on your calendar. All of a sudden, the senior vice president is calling you because he needs help with something, but it's your first time interacting with that person. So how do you get best tips? And when the whole team, the whole environment's in there, it becomes very user friendly as to just everyone's advancing toward the same mission.
Absolutely. Do you provide any consulting on the back end of everything if a whole organization were to adopt it, or everything that an organization would need to know is within the software?
So what's really fun, actually probably one of my favorite things about this tool is this white labeling concept. So you almost treat each customer like a project. All these companies, especially, nonprofits like I alluded to, or the companies that have been around for decades and decades, what they do, they're good at and they really believe in it. So they have the missions, the values, the belief system, even top selling products. All this stuff is documented somewhere. It's usually stuck in somebody's file in HR or something like that. What we can do is we take all that information that matters to them and we upload it right into the AI algorithm directly so that everyone under that umbrella, if it's Best Buy, for example, every employee at Best Buy hears what they believe. It might be the customer's always right, or LG TV is the top selling thing right now. You're able to create this organizational consistency. And then to your question, that's where you're able to create, what matters to you? What do you wish you could scale to the entire organization as you introduce them to an ethical AI platform?
That's super, super neat. I feel like organizations should utilize this tool daily, like within
Hmm.
meetings or like maybe on their own time, like dedicate
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes to not I don't want to call it playing with the software, but understanding more about this, you know?
Yeah, and it's kind of a cheat code, to be honest, because I mean, every big company out there is sitting there. We're going to build our own AI. We're going to create this solution for what we're working on. First of all, it takes about 12 months and $5 million. Second of all, you never want to build a road next to a highway. The way that they can take this is here's something that's already built. Your team fit right into it. But again, what's special about your organization? What do you want your people to see? All of a sudden, it's Best Buy AI, just right in their hands. It can be done in 10 minutes.
No, I love that. What leadership challenges do you see becoming more common over the next 1 to 2 years?
I think it's going to be AI. Where are you at in the adoption curve? Because there's so many hot takes out there, and there's so many people at different stages. Some people are all AI, all everything, no matter what, ask no questions. That's not going to work. And then there's people who are completely anti AI. I'll never use that tool. That's not going to work. And then everyone in between, you imagine managing 25 people, all different ends of that spectrum. How do you lead with something that's so important, but somewhat controversial? That's going to be a hard thing. And it's really just educating and partnering with the tool itself. I think that's the one thing you can truly do to safeguard from yourself is just start using it one way or another, learn about it, and then see where it fits.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think partnering with it is more ideal. I wouldn't rely solely on AI because it's AI. And obviously
Mhm.
not utilizing it's not definitely not the smartest thing you can do. Out of curiosity, what's your hot take on AI?
It's a good question. I get asked that a lot. They're like, you're an AI guy. What are you so excited about? I'm like, I'm more scared than excited for a few different reasons and a few different platforms. Like the
Oh,
image generation, terrifying. Deep fakes, just absolutely terrifying. But what scares me the most about AI is how great it is. you can really, especially think of like students, you can turn off that critical thinking almost immediately. Now you have something that can do your homework for you, can write your emails for you, can do everything for you. And if you let it do that, you're turning your brain off more than ever before. On the flip side, though, the excitement is you can also now be the greatest, smartest generation of human beings of all time. Because if you want to learn about the Revolutionary War, here you go. In 10 seconds, it's more than any human has been able to learn before. And that it's kind of a decision. What type of person do I want to be with the entire internet at my fingertips? So I have fears. I have a ton of excitement about it, but there's a lot of in between.
What do you think the next 5 years looks like?
I think, there's a lot of chatter right now about AI replacing people at work. In some cases it certainly can, but I don't think it will just because first of all, that's not how the economy works. The economy is a loop and you have to just keep people involved. You can't just cut off all employees and expect the AI to work with AI and have nothing on the other end of it. So I think that's a big piece of it. And then I do think that if you were to look into the next step here, we went from zero to automation last year. 2025 is nobody was using it. And all of a sudden, my entire payroll system is just automated by an AI tool. I think we're going to take a step back here and really, again, start partnering with it. Here's my humans. Again, here's this hire that I just really love the guy, had to hire him on the spot, but now him with AI is a much more powerful employee. So I think we're going to kind of chill a little bit and really make it human plus AI equals the best possible output.
Great insights. I like that. So you don't think that people should be fearful of losing their jobs and being replaced by AI?
Well, the phrase that's very common right now that I don't necessarily disagree with is if you're a human, again, completely ignoring AI and saying it's not going to be anything, I would be concerned about my future job prospects there. But if you're even just playing with it a little bit and understanding what it is and what it could be, you'll be just fine.
Understood. Where can they find you if someone wanted to, engage with the software?
Yeah, it's a good question there. I'm on LinkedIn all day, just random things, random thought pieces. And then our website is personos.ai. So we can do demos. Sometimes I jump in on those myself and like to show off the tool. So try to be pretty available. And, it's always fun to just jump back in and hear what people are trying to solve with a tool like this.
Well, that's awesome. Nick, thanks so much for tuning in, and having you on the podcast. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we covered it. And I think it's a really exciting time right now. So jump in, listen to your people, and bring the best out of them.
I love it. Audience, thanks for tuning in, and until next time.
Thanks.